I'm not much of a materialistic person. You just need to look at my audio setup of blankets to muffle the noise, and the fact that I am literally holding a pop filter because I don't have a stand. However, I do appreciate the visuals of a fancy house. It's very rich, and I don't mean the price tag. There's something special about watching a YouTube video detailing all the fancy rooms of a mansion and seeing how cool they can be. So let's see if there's anything special about watching a YouTube video talking lazily about mansions with poorly done research and even more poorly done jokes, and no actual mansions to see. Big ones always have helipads on them, and before anyone asks, no, I haven't figured out how helicopters were made, like I said I would in the last video. As far as I know, they just spawn into existence. The thing that bothers me is, who needs a helicopter? Why do rich people decide to inconvenience themselves with travel? A limo must be better, and there's probably so much legal issues with taking a helicopter. And you'd only be able to go to a place where there's a helipad on the receiving end, so that already limits your targets. What if the pilot is illiterate and doesn't know what H is? How will they know the area that the helicopter is supposed to land? Do they see the pool and think, hey, that's a soft place, it's probably best to drop there, and it all causes chaos. In fact, that chaos could happen even if they could read. What if they just missed? I'm sure that helicopters are pretty difficult to manage. It sure is in GTA 5, I'll freaking tell you that. Chances are what you're seeing right now is my real attempt to land, so enjoy that failing of mine. How expensive is it to implement a helipad? Google says between $25,000 and $100,000, but if you're getting any realistic contractor, it's going to take an extra 3 months than needed and cost about $300,000 more, and then you're going to have to find an unidentified skull in the walls, and yes, I'm still traumatized from my childhood home renovation, okay? Fancy homes always have cool pools as well. Not just like a big bathtub, but like a massive weirdly shaped blob of water, or a set of jacuzzis. Rich people just seem to hate rectangular pools. Unless they're infinity pools, and then it's not really a rectangle, it's like a half cube, since the side does also count as part of the pool, I think. It's all dumb. You just have an overflowing pool. There's nothing cool about that. And some of them don't even have diving boards attached to it. What's the point of water if you can't attempt to enter it at infinitely high speeds? At least put a ramp into it from your garage so you can drive your Tesla in at full speed. That's what pools are for. And when that pool is ruined from the electric car turning it into a death pit, you've always got the hot tub, in that one situation where you don't feel enough like an Italian mobster from the 1930s. But hot tubs are pretty small, and sometimes you really want the feeling of impending oceanic doom that a large pool can provide. How big can it be? 100 square miles? 1,000? 10,000? There's a chance you should probably get a shark in the pool, just for that extra sense of realism. And before anyone is concerned about the Tesla that was driven in, don't be. Rich people have zero concern for the well-being of cars. Literally, you think the reports of Lightning McQueen dying in an accident were true? Wrong. He got Epsteined, suckers. Rich people simply have too many cars to drive, and that upsets me. You're just wasting them, leaving them on some sort of stand. I think I literally made a previous video about how people treat cars like friggin' art pieces. They become useless. There's no reason for any of the engine or other mobility crap. Just gut that all out and have the outer body. It's not like anyone will know the difference. Honestly, if you could pull it off, that would be a relatively victimless heist. Find some rich douche who wastes cars and just take out all the parts he won't use, sell them on the black market. And that, ladies and gents, is socialism. Because those richies don't need to spend millions of dollars on wheeled set pieces, unless they think they can make an ironic parody of Top Gear called Stop Gear. It would probably be better if they just made papier-mâché cars, although you'd better be really good at telling the difference, because if you're pulling a heist and you end up finding that your getaway car is papier-mâché, you better hope you remembered your bus pass. Or even with Lego. That would probably be a better source to build a car from. It would at least move, and the makers have experience, because Lego is actually the #1 tire manufacturer in the world. Look it up, that's true. Waterfalls are next on the list of rich installations like silver spoons hanging from the Christmas tree with the least Christian values on it. Lots of rich people like to have the not lame version of infinity pools, giant waterfalls that go over the house. I mean, if you're gonna be a supervillain, which every billionaire is, it's wise for them to at least admit it, that it's an evil lair. The only other thing they could do is just put in a massive dinosaur statue. Waterfalls really are the only acceptable rich person choice. I'm often angry at the extravagance that rich people enforce just for the sake of bragging rights. So the ability to just smirk and get a massive waterfall, I admit, I appreciate it. Mainly because the truth is everyone should have it. Waterfalls are a thing that everyone should have on their house. It sounds inconvenient, yes, but think of the benefits it would bring. For example, it's good for gardening. All that water, you'll have enough plants to rob the giants of their harps, their hens, their futures, their children and spouses, their livelihoods. You can imperialize the land of the giants, all from your backyard. And it's good for your skin, as humidity can hydrate you and keep you from getting dry skin. Although, it can also cause you to break out acne before everyone else does and be super anxious about it, which totally didn't happen to me. So, come buy your new house waterfalls at www.aussiematewaterfalls.gov and buy a waterfall starting at $300 million, not including shipping and handling. What? I make videos on YouTube. How do you expect me to make money? Without money, I can't feed my pet cow. In fact, rich people probably have a million different pets they have at their house. They must have a bunch of house add-ons just to please their dogs. Chances are, the dog house of Jeff Bezos costs more than everyone who's watching this house combined. Granted, that's zero, but still. There must be some mansions that seem like a freaking zoo. I can picture walking through a mansion's huge hallways, only to see a humpback whale exhibit instead of the bathroom. Nah, I'll poop anyway. If you had $1 billion, you could get the best healthcare for animals. Dr. Doolittle could just pop right over and say what was wrong right off the bat. Yeah, this cat's just being an asshole. That's their problem. They're a cat. $1 billion now, please. Whereas every non-billionaire has to deal with the express animal communicator, Mr. Popper from Mr. Popper's Penguins. And let me tell you, he is no good at anything other than penguins. And even then, he never truly feels what they say. I know from experience. However, there is a benefit to not being a billionaire with thousands of pets, and that is there's no risk they'll kill you and do Animal Farm. You know how politicians always threaten the arrival of communism will end us? Well, that's what they meant. Pigs eating humans. That's what the book was about. Anyone who says differently is a pig communist. I know that sometimes rich people like to mock poor people by imitating their lives and then critiquing the experience. There's some rich kids who will sit on the side of the road and pretend to be homeless just for the fun of it. And if the world of politics is going the way it seems, then that practice in their childhood might be good for Eric and Don Jr. But in other cases, there are even rich people who live in things like fancy mobile homes. While we imagine mobile homes as a kind of beat-down, Walter White kind of RV, there are actually some really fancy ones if you're rich enough. TVs, bathtubs, waterfalls that you can purchase now at waterfallgrift.givememoney. If the rich people want to truly brag about the value of a mobile home, then they gotta focus on the mobile aspect of it. A highway system exclusively for rich people sounds like something that the upper 1% would try to brag about. In fact, I do believe Elon Musk tried to make a rich exclusive subway tunnel. What a dick. Maybe in order to stop avoiding traffic, they should stick to boats. There's no traffic on the water, and no litter if you ignore all the litter. Maybe all those CEOs should just shove off and live on their dumb toy boats. Or their fancy golden planes that I'm totally not jealous of. Who would want to spend time on golden planes, cruising through the clouds like a high-value, low-use metal Icarus? If Icarus's wings were gold, I think he would have crashed a lot sooner, honestly. And another thing about the RVs is that rich people never live in them. It's always for traveling in movies and stuff. But everyone who actually has a real one has the experience of living in an RV. Without that, you really are just a rich hack who thinks that small living quarters makes you relatable and hip. But the truth is, they're just people trying to be eccentric. I'm sitting here trying to think of the most ludicrous thing a rich person could do to the house. Maybe a spaceship or a hologram house. But then I realized what the stupidest thing is. Transformers. Only the dumbest rich dudes would try and turn their house into massive mech suits to pilot around like the movie Mortal Engines, or Living Treads, or Sleeping Titans. Whoever made that movie's name really just got high and started reading middle school poetry, weren't they? But if they were hired to name the rich people's houses, it really would keep up with the Transformers' fancy names. Light Streak Mansion, Optimax Manor, Mega Trailer, Deathblade Castle. And they would spend all their time customizing over style, having things look like Blade Runner had a diarrhea fit over a modern art display, instead of how houses are supposed to look. And it seems having things look like Blade Runner had a diarrhea fit over a modern art display is the tagline of Cyberpunk 2077. Which fits the tone of Transformers more than anything, cause if anything's next in line for the Michael Bay films, it's Cyberpunk, and the consoles are the source of the too many explosions. How did we get to this point? And so ends another tale of a useless topic, another script partly too long, and another binge of videos I'm making before I take a break. You won't notice the break though, not just because the videos aren't changing release schedule, but because no one cares.